In this lecture, I'll be discussing the non-rigid rotor approximation to rotational spectra of diatomic molecules. So far in our discussions, we have seen that, or we have assumed the diatomic molecules to be rigid. That means the bond lengths are fixed, the atoms are not vibrating. That means if I have a diatomic molecule like this, I have considered that this R is constant. It is not moving. I mean, it's not vibrating like this, it is fixed. But if you think about real case scenarios, in real case scenario, the bonds will always be vibrating. It's not possible that you fix the two atoms in their places such that they are not vibrating. That vibration will always be there. And how can you understand this? Let's say you want to see by using the vibrational energy. Now, if the vibration has to be absent, this vibrational energy has to be zero. Now, we know that at absolute zero temperature or at 0 Kelvin, the molecules will be in the ground state. The ground state energy or E0 of vibrational transition is half h nu. This is the 0 point energy. We'll see in more details when we do vibrational spectroscopy. So that means even at 0 temperature, even at the ground state, my molecule will have half h nu of vibrational energy. That means this vibration will still happen. Even if to a small amount, this vibration will still be present. Considering my molecule to be a simple harmonic oscillator, to behave like a simple harmonic oscillator. So that means if this amount of energy is present even at the ground state, even at the lowest possible energy state, and this vibration and the bonds are no more fixed, I mean the bond is no more fixed, it's if the bond length is changing, we know that the difference between two consecutive lines is 2b, and b is what? B is hs square by 8 pi square I. This b is in joules, and I is what? I is mu r square. That means B is inversely proportional to R square, or in other terms, if R is changing, B will change. Or let's say that the difference between two consecutive lines is no more fixed, is no more 2B. The difference is no more 2B, it's now either less than or greater than 2B. So this phenomenon, this condition where the difference between two consecutive lines in rotational spectroscopy is no more 2b is known as the breakdown of rigid rotor approximation. Because in rigid rotor approximation we considered that the bond length does not change, but we see the bond length will keep changing at every instant. Now, during one, let's say it is rotating in this direction, during one complete rotation, the bond length changes a lot of times. That means the bonds vibrate a huge number of times, and we take the R to be an average of that. That is not needed right now, but for information purpose, we take the average. So you might question that which bond length to take. If the bond length is, let's say, from A to B, if the bond length is changing from this point to this point, from going out and vibrating in, so which one to take? We take the average. Okay. Now, the frequency with which this will vibrate is equals to what? We know that vibrational frequency, this is in centimeter inverse, is equals to 1 by 2 pi C K by mu, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So if I have to find the force constant from here, that would be what? Mu naught square 4 pi square C square mu. This will be important in some time. We'll see. Okay. Now, if the difference between two consecutive lines is not 2b, that means the formula that we had, E equals to bj j plus 1, This will also be not true when there is non-rigid rotor kind of molecule. That means when we are considering the non-rigid rotor condition, the energy levels will not be defined by this formula, so we will have to devise a new formula. So in any condition, the total energy of any molecule is what? Kinetic energy plus potential energy. Now, considering there is no external forces acting on the molecule, so there is no potential from outside. Whatever potential is generated in the system is because of the vibration of the two atoms. So that means this is coming from the vibrations. Now, we are considering that the total energy that we consider that the total energy that we should be getting is only from the rotational. If you're considering the rigid rotor approximation, then the total energy should be coming only from the rotational energy level, and I would get this kinetic energy and this potential energy from the vibration. But we get to see that the potential energy is extra, which is generated in my system. So this total energy will comprise of this kinetic energy and the potential energy. I'll come to this later, and the potential energy from the vibration. So that means if I want to find the rotational energy, that would be Bj j plus 1 minus this potential energy, and this kinetic energy is actually the rotational energy, because that's the only motion that the molecule is doing, right? Okay. Now consider in classical dynamics, in classical physics, this would be what? Half kx square, the potential energy of a simple harmonic oscillator. But in quantum mechanics, we'll consider this to be minus dj square j plus 1 whole square. Now considering this to be a simple harmonic oscillator. Now if this is an anharmonic oscillator, then I would get Bj j plus 1 minus dj square j plus 1 square plus h j cube j plus 1 cube minus k j to the power 4 j plus 1 to the power 4, and it goes on increasing with more constants b, h, k. Now the value of these constants is in the order of 10 to the power minus 6, 10 to the power minus 9. So their contribution to the total energy decreases very much. As a result, we can neglect these. And so far, for our simplicity purpose, we are considering the molecule to be a simple harmonic oscillator only. And this d is known as deformation constant. You can understand it in a way that this is the part which is causing a deformation in my molecule. So that is why deformation constant. Now this b is in the range of 10 to the power minus 1 and d is in the range of 10 to the power minus 3. And how do I say so? Now if you let's say okay, okay, we'll see in some time. Fine. So now the formula for d is h cube by 32 pi to the power 4 I square r square k. This is the formula for d. You need not worry where the formula came from. Just memorize it. There is a c here. Yeah. So this is in centimeter inverse. If this has to be in joules, this will be to the power 4 and the c will vanish. Okay. Now there can be relation set up between d and b, which is d equals to 4b cube by mu naught square. Okay, and this mu naught is this one. Okay. Now the rotational frequency is in the terms of 10 and the vibrational frequency is in the terms of 10 to the power 3. That is why the rotational constant is in the terms of 10 to the power minus 1 and the deformation constant is in the terms of 10 to the power minus 3. But okay, so let's say you would get, then if I am using this formula, so my energy levels are now denoted by Bj j plus 1 minus dj square j plus 1 square. So that means the energy of each energy level will now decrease by an amount this. Let's take the case of energy difference between two energy levels. Okay, by the way, the selection rule for non-rigid rotor approximation is still same, delta J is equals to plus minus 1. So if I am considering that, okay, I know, okay, let me write Bj dashed J dash plus 1 minus dj dash square J dash plus 1 square minus Bj j plus 1 plus dj square J plus 1 square. Now I know that the difference between these two will be 2Bj plus 1. Now let's take the difference between difference for this. Taking d as common, J dash is what? J plus 1 and this is square, and the other part will be what? J plus 2 square minus J square J plus 1 square. So again J plus 1 square goes common. So I am left with, and I have here, okay, so I have J plus 1 square, that will be J square plus 4 plus 4J minus J square for this one. These two get cancelled. If I take 4 common, I will get J plus 1. That J plus 1 get multiplied to this part, and I am left with minus 4D J plus 1 cube. I hope you are able to see this. 2B J plus 1 minus 4D J plus 1 cube. So that means the difference between two energy levels will now decrease by a factor 4D J plus 1 cube. So how can you, okay, so how will you be able to see this in terms of energy levels? So let's say initially your energy levels were something like this. Okay, let's say this is your 0B, 2B, 6B, 12B, 20B. Now you are expecting the energy levels to decrease by a factor of this, and indeed you will be able to see this. That decreases like this, but the last energy level still remains the same. So this is your J equals to 0, and that will remain at 0B. This is J equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. They are decreasing by an amount dj square J plus 1 whole square. Okay. Okay, sorry for this. This will be same. Okay. Now if you look at the peaks, how will the peaks look like? So let's say initially your peaks were here with a difference of 2B. The differences will now decrease and you will find peaks to be here. Now this is the same that you had seen when there was an isotopic substitution, right? Now if the question comes, which will cause a more decrease in the energy levels, either an isotopic substitution or non-rigid rotor approximation? So the answer is isotopic substitution has more contribution in decreasing the spacing between the energy levels rather than the non-rigid rotor approximation, because you see the non-rigid rotor approximation is decreasing in the order of 10 to the power minus 3. But in isotopic substitution, if when you replace hydrogen by deuterium, just for an example, your B decreases by almost half, because B is inversely proportional to mu. Mu goes from mu to mu, so it becomes half. And when you do the spacing, that means this B is getting decreased by half, and that has a much more effect than 10 to the power minus 3 times. Now this decrease in, okay, so in case of non-residue approximation, this decrease in the energy levels is not very, sorry, I ran out of memory on my camera. So okay, so this difference in the energy levels becomes prominent only when the rotational quantum numbers are high, such that they are greater than 10. At low rotational numbers, you are not able to see the difference in the peaks, but as you go to the peaks corresponding to higher rotational numbers, let's say somewhere like 10 to 11 and greater than that, you are able to see significantly the difference in the peaks are now decreasing. Okay. One application of this non-residual approximation is that using this formula in the form of mu naught square, mu naught bar is equals to under root 4b cube by d, you can actually find the vibrational frequency of the molecule. Now this is an approximate, it's not very accurate, it's actually inaccurate because it has some approximations behind it. But nevertheless, you can still find using rotational spectroscopy the vibrational frequency of the molecule, and that is one of the big achievements of rotational spectra. Okay. Now there are no direct questions from here in NetGate and TIFR or in IIT JAM. If I'm wrong, if I have missed any question, please just write down the year and the exam in the comment section. I'll discuss them in the next video. But what kind of questions can come from this particular topic? Now, it's possible that you are given 3 peaks. Let's say you are given peaks at 3 different values of centimeter inverse. That means you are given 3 peaks. Let's say you are given these 3 peaks, and you are asked to find rotational constant, deformation constant, and the vibrational frequency. So in that case, you would have to devise 3 equations for these 3, equations in the form of these, not these, actually equations using this formula. You will get 3 equations, and from there you can find B and D, and then use it to find the vibrational frequency. This kind of questions can come in the exams. So that's all for this particular lecture, for this particular topic from rotational spectroscopy. In the next lecture, I will be discussing the Stark effect and Zeeman effect on the rotational spectra, and how the peaks are, or how the splitting is occurring because of the effect of electric field and magnetic field. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries regarding any topic, whether it be this topic or any other topic, please put them down in the comments. I will surely clear those doubts in the coming videos.